This is Fox 40 News at 5.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie Cruz, and we begin with breaking news.
I'm Tia Ewing, and for Eric Harriman, at least 2 suspects robbed a Bank of the West in Stockton, taking several people hostage.
Now, police told us one was shot and thrown out of the getaway car during this hour-long chase with police.
We have 3 reporters on this story to make sure we get all aspects of what happened from beginning to end. Rowena Shaddix talked to one hostage's husband. Sanseri Tonso found witnesses who saw the chase.
But we'll start with Dennis Shanahan, who is live where it all started, the Bank of the West on Thornton Road. Dennis?
Yeah, this all started here at about 2 o'clock, Stephanie and Tia. And what we do know is there were at least 3 suspects and 3 hostages. Here is how one witness described the scene.
And they had the guns to these ladies' heads.
3 ladies.
3 ladies, from what I remember seeing. And they basically were just real tight knit. They didn't want to be separated. That's how they had it. And as the women were coming out, they had their hands up, and they were just petrified. They were so scared. They were crying. I couldn't do nothing. I mean, but the cops were so close. They were like 5 feet away from these guys, and they could not get a shot
Because of the hostages.
because of the hostages. And they threw one of them in the driver's seat, just literally threw her in there, and then they all drove off.
All right, this was a very complex crime scene, and not just one crime scene. So we bring in Officer Joseph Silva with the Stockton Police Department. Officer Silva, if you could just kind of walk us through this from the outset.
Yes, we got a report of a bank robbery, an armed bank robbery from the Bank of the West, which is right behind us. And when officers started arriving on scene, they saw 3 Latino male suspects in the parking lot with 3 female adult hostages. The suspects, what we learned, took one of the bank employees' vehicles and started a pursuit. And during the pursuit, one hostage was violently thrown from the vehicle, and when our officers went over to that hostage, determined that that hostage was shot, and I don't have a condition on that hostage at this point. And then the pursuit continued for a good 45 minutes to an hour, where the suspects were firing AK-47 assault rifles at our officers. Multiple police vehicles were struck, and we also now get reports of citizens' residents that were also struck by gunfire. And towards the end of the pursuit, we know that another hostage was thrown from the vehicle, and just learned that that hostage was possibly grazed by gunfire, and that hostage is at the hospital. And right at the end, we know that the suspects opened fire on police officers, and there was a long gun battle going back and forth. And when our SWAT team officers were able to go up to the vehicle, they saw 3 suspects had been shot, 2 have been transported to the hospital, and 1 was deceased inside the vehicle, along with another person who we're still trying to confirm if that was a hostage.
Okay, so we know we have 2 deceased suspects, 2 hostages in the 2 injured suspects.
Yes.
2 hostages in the hospital.
Yes.
1 deceased suspect, and then 1 extra person in that car who may have been a hostage who is deceased.
Correct. We're trying to confirm that person's identity to see if that person was indeed a hostage.
And we don't know where the bullet came from that may have killed that person at this point.
Yeah, we don't know at this point, but we do know during the pursuit that both hostages that were thrown out had been shot, and the only people that were firing were the suspects at our officers.
Any other injuries on side streets as this did go on for an hour?
We know multiple residences had been struck by gunfire, along with multiple patrol cars.
Okay, Officer Silva, thank you for sorting out some of the nuts and bolts. It is complex.
Still very active criminal investigation, and as soon as more information comes out, I'll make sure to get it to you.
Thank you very much, and of course we'll be following this through this newscast through 6:30 and also at 10.
All right, Dennis, a lot of details there, and a lot of details still coming in. Thank you for that report. An extensive police pursuit. As you heard Officer Silva say, this robbery led to a chase that stretched for several miles. People posted these videos of lines of cop cars racing by. The suspects reportedly used both Highway 99 and I-5, going north and southbound as they looped around. Sanseri Tonso continues our team coverage where this chase ended at Thornton Road and Auto Drive. Sanseri, you spoke with witnesses. I'm sure many of them still in shock over this. People really can't believe what they've seen in their own neighborhood here today, Tia. You can see a little bit of this here behind me as this scene continues to wrap up in this area at Thornton and Otto. Now, that is about a half-mile away from the Bank of the West, and we're being kept a good distance from that scene as they look at that suspect vehicle and continue to investigate, piecing together what exactly all happened here. But for folks who live nearby, this is how they heard it get started.
A lot of sirens, the helicopter, and a lot of gunshots, or what we thought were gunshots.
So you immediately thought that?
Yes.
And there is one gentleman we spoke to who was too afraid after seeing all of this to go on camera, but he lives on Estate Street and actually had some of the bullets that were being fired during this chase, he said, just go right down his breezeway. Definitely a very frightening time for folks in this neighborhood, and a scene they hope to see wrap up quickly.
Thanks a lot, Sincere. And the chase ended not far from the Bank of the West, where it started about 2:30. It lasted an hour, an eternity for the hostages involved. Our team coverage continues with Rowena Shaddix, who talked to the husband of one hostage. Ro?
Yes, Stephanie, as we pulled up to one of the intersections here on Thornton Avenue, a white car pulled up at the same time. It was just before 4 o'clock. Turned out it was Paul Singh, the husband of one of the hostages. Now, he tells us he received 3 text messages from his daughter saying that basically they were at the bank. She was in the car, the daughter texting on her phone when someone came into that bank that her mom was at, robbed the bank, and then they took her hostage. And that text message said they took mom. He left at that point from the Antioch-Pittsburgh area, came all the way down here to Stockton, all the while trying to keep in touch with family members who were keeping in touch with police, watching news reports on television. As far as we know, she is fine, and as you heard earlier, there is a hostage, we believe a female, that was thrown out of the vehicle at some point, so we do believe that she is doing okay. She is alive and well. We hope to bring you his sound at 6 o'clock, and of course we will have much more for you as this develops.
All right, Rowena, thank you for that report. And as we learn more about this story, we'll post the latest news to our website. That's fox40.com. Share it with our Facebook friends and tweet it. You can also download the Fox 40 app to get breaking news alerts sent right to your smartphone for free.